Hi everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar about maintaining your WordPress blog in WordApp.com. My name is Jorn, I'm one of the co-founders here at WordApp, and today I'm joined by Helene, who is one of our elite WordAppers in Sweden. She's actually managing a project right now where we're maintaining a blog, so I'm talking with her and to her to help her set everything up and make sure everything is correct. We have a lot of things we're going through today. Most of the things I will keep pretty short because we're actually covering those in more detail in other courses that are available at wordapp.com/courses. So if you're interested in learning more about setting up templates or how to work with WordPress, please join those courses as well so that we can talk about that in more detail. The biggest aspect of today's course will be about the order sheet, which is a little bit different when you're maintaining blog posts. So that is where we will be spending most of our time. Let's dig in. First thing you need is the WordApp WordPress plugin. This one is available in the WordPress directory. So you can directly, if you have a WordPress site, just go to your plugin sections and you can install the WordPress plugin from there. When you install and activate it on your site, it will not do anything until you also activate it in the website manager. During this webinar, I'll be switching back and forth a bit between the presentation and the actual app so that I can show you where everything is and see what you can all do there. So I'll just show you where in the website manager you can actually connect this. I have WordApp open right here. So I'm in the website manager. If you go and you open a website that you have added, you can go to the connections tab, and if the plugin is installed, you can click analyze. It will show up that the website, that WordApp plugin is installed, and if it is not activated yet, you can activate it from here as well, and that means that everything is working and set up correctly. Some of the benefits of using the plugin are that you can publish directly to the page. So once you approve a blog post in WordApp, it will be directly sent to the WordPress site. So you don't actually have to manually upload any of the blog posts anymore, which should save a lot of time, especially if you're working on multiple websites. But also you have one-click login. So you don't have to share passwords with anyone or remember passwords or open up Google Sheets or Excel sheets with password lists to be able to log in. And also you have a lot of other data that is available, including latest content and things like that. All of those you can see in the WordApp. Oops, where do I have it? Oh, I thought I had a page on the website manager as well. I guess that one is gone. So all of those you can see in the website manager. So the website manager, as I just showed you, look like this, where all of the websites that I own are connected here. And one of the most interesting things for blogging is that I can see latest content. So I can see of all my websites that I have, when is the last time that content was actually published. I can also use filters for that. So I can do a filter where I want to see all my Swedish websites, for example, that have latest content in the last or more than 10 days ago. And I can get a full list of all the websites with content later than 10 days. I can also export this list from WordApp so that I have a starting point of where I want to publish blog posts and schedule them so that everything is up and running. So this is how you can use the website manager for those things. Second thing that we need is when we're setting up a blog post, we first, of course, need a blog archive page. I will talk about this a lot more in our WordPress related courses. Just a very quick run through for those of you who are already familiar with WordPress. You need to create an empty page that you call blog. Don't forget to write meta titles and meta descriptions. For the rest, you can leave the whole page empty and publish that page. Then from your WordPress dashboard, go to the settings, the reading settings, and then set the page for post page as the blog post that the blog page that you actually created. By doing that, all the blog posts that you publish in WordPress will automatically be collected on that archive page. Of course, put it in your menu as well, so that everything is easily available for the visitors of your website. Does that make sense, Helene, or is that very complicated?
That makes sense to me.
Good, because you know everything about WordPress, so that's good. So there's two types of, at least by default, there is two different types of text that you can publish in WordPress. One is pages, which is more static content. And you also have blog posts. What makes blog posts a little bit different in WordPress is that besides the normal title, the text, and the featured image, there's usually in the themes also space for authors, different dates where you can publish them, because these are not so much static content as they are content that are relevant on a specific time. And you have tags and categories as well. So all of those we can actually access through the WordApp plugin, so that when we publish a blog post, we can also fill all of these out with relevant information, so that you don't actually have to do anything manually in the WordPress sites anymore once you approve a text in WordApp. So if you're not familiar with blog posts, again, join our other webinar about WordPress. There we talk about it in way more detail. I just want to cover it here quickly so that you know what we're talking about when we get to the order sheets later on. Of course, in WordApp, you always need a template. Without templates, you cannot order any content from the crowd or write any content yourself. Again, there is a very beautiful course about this where we talk exactly about how to create templates in WordApp. Just going through it very quickly. When you set up templates for blog posts, it is important to realize that one, you will most probably not have all kinds of things filled out for them. So in the instructions, refer to either the title, if you pre-processed the title already, or refer to the domain URL or the source URL for the writer to find inspiration on what to write about. So templates that you use in WordApp, they are very much collection points. So you can use the same template for a blog that is about cryptocurrency and a blog that is about fashion, as long as your instructions are actually clear to the writer. So just referring to the domain URL and say, write something relevant about the domain should be sufficient for them to actually start writing a text. One thing that is a bit special, if you use images in your text, that is okay. But if you want to use one of them as the featured image in your website, always make it the first template item in the text. And why that is, I will show you when we're talking about the template, the order sheets. But try to do, if you have one image that is going to be the featured image, select it as the first template item. So first have the writers find an image and then write the text, because it will be easier with your order sheet, especially if you're using multiple different templates. We also support page builders in WordApp. So if you want to do special blog pages where you actually use a page builder, you can set that up. There is an entire course about that in our WordPress webinars. So please join that if you want to learn more about how that exactly works. Elaine, templates clear?
Yeah, it's clear, yeah.
Good. Now we go to the order sheet. There is quite a few things in the order sheet that we have to go through. I collected some of the things here already, but what I actually want to do right now is, together with Helene, fill out one of the order sheets so that we see a little bit what is all going on there. Just quickly, the things that are in here, target URL is something we support in the order sheet. If it is filled out and the page exists, it will actually overwrite the content of that page when you publish it. So either leave it empty, or if you have a dedicated page already created, then use it. But most of the times you want to leave the target URL empty because you want a new page to be created. Second is you can combine multiple domains or multiple templates in one order sheet. So you don't need to have 15 different order sheets if you have 15 different templates. You can actually combine them all in one. Becomes a little bit tricky sometimes depending on how much you want to pre-process, but we'll go through that right now. Internal links is something you obviously want to use in blog posts. For that we have a substitute header. I'll show how that works in a minute. And then we have all our WordPress headers that we can use. As you remember, the blog posts, they have authors, they have featured images, tags, categories, and all of those we can actually fill from our order sheet and attach them to the content order task and send to WordPress when we publish a task. All of that information is available in our help center, so help.wordpress.com. And the title of that text is called Task Upload Delimited File Format. So I'll leave the link here. I'll put it in the description under the video as well for you, so you're watching the video later on. And what you can find in that is all the different headers that we support in our order sheet. So from previous courses, you already know that we have a focus keyword, sub keywords, we have substitute, source URL, target URL, external ID, and all these different things. But for WordPress, we also have specific headers that are listed here, the type, status, author, etc. If you scroll a bit more down even, they're all explained as well. So WP type is whether it's a post or a page. And if you have any other registered types of WordPress documents in your WordPress site, you can also use them here. So for example, for review sites, you would have a review page template. You could fill it in here and it will automatically pick up that page template to use. Status, do you want to publish it as a draft? Do you want to publish it all right away? Do you want any other statuses that are there? You can put author name there as well if you know the username of the WordPress user. So if you have different users on your WordPress sites, just by using the username, you can actually put a different author for the text. Default, it will use the first one that it finds, usually the admin. So you can also change it here if you want to. And there's a bunch of other things like scheduling, where you can actually schedule like the backdate or future date blog posts when you publish them. So if in the first week of a month, I actually write and approve all my blog posts, by setting the scheduling date here, I can actually spread them out throughout the entire month, and they will be scheduled in WordPress, so that one, your footprint stays low, but also two, so that everything is nicely spread and you have new content coming up all the time. Let's go to the order sheets. I already created an empty Google Doc, and I have put in the template IDs of the templates that Helene has created. So first thing we need to do is, of course, find our templates and download the order sheets. So I will start doing that right now. Let's take this one first. So here I see Helene has put an image here, which is great. She's put it right now in the middle of the text. I will just update it and make it the very first one. All the instructions right now are in Swedish, so I'm not going to go into too much detail there. Helene, you might have to update some stuff here afterwards, but I'll just create this as a V2 template. Save as new. And I'll just download this order sheet. Oops. I'm sure we have a project for this, but I will just use this one right now. I'm leaving my domain empty because we will use multiple domains for this, of course.
Can I ask a question about the picture?
Let's take the other order sheets as well. This one also has an image here, so I'm also making that the first template item again. And again, I'm downloading the order sheets. And let's take the third one too. Where are we here? Oops. Three order sheets. I will just import them here in different tabs. One, two, and three. So we have three order sheets here. So instead of all having them here in separate documents, I can actually combine them all into one order sheet. So I'll just take these rows here and copy them below here. And do the same one for this one. You see that the first columns are all the same, project ID. We have different projects because I have just selected different copies, projects, but you can just ignore that when you upload the content directly in the project. Order type is the next column, external ID, source, target, focus keywords. All of them have exactly 3 keywords. That's perfect. So they're already matching up. Domain URL, template ID, and the header 1. You see here at the end of it, there is some different settings here. Text 1, this is all text 1. H2 is all the same, text 2. But here there's actually list items, and the meta title and description are coming further on here. So if I have, for example, this one would not have a keyword 3. Let's pretend. Helene, you're good at pretending with this, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Now they don't actually match up anymore. So I can just leave that column empty for this particular keywords. So if I move them all one up, oops. I can actually match the keywords like this. For this particular template, I would always leave this column empty because there is no third keyword, and I would still be fine with it. Does that make sense, Helene, or am I explaining it a bit wrong?
No, no, it's clear.
Helene, you still there?
I'm here. You hear me?
I cannot hear you, Helene, so I'm guessing you're still here, but. So as long as the columns match up, I can combine multiple templates in one order sheet. So for this one, keyword 3 was of course a real keyword. I'm just copying this one in for now. So these 3 template IDs, I don't actually need any of these ones. I can just take them away because I'm not going to use them. I can just put these 3 templates IDs below each other, copy these ones out. Course project, I will use the same one. All of these are new content. Blog posts, I'll just use that as external ID so that I can find them back later on. So now I have 3 different templates in the same order sheet where I can put in all the keywords that I have, and I can put in headers as well. In this keyword, I can do a substitute. A substitute means, for example, an external link. So substitutes are always referring to the actual keyword. So keyword 3 and substitute 3, they refer to each other. So I can do, for example, an internal link here, slash link, where I use this as a anchor text. So now whenever this keyword is used, it will be automatically substituted by this, this HTML link. Of course, I can also automate this a bit more if I want. I will go over that in a few minutes where we show some productivity hacks for the order sheets. And I can put in different URLs here. So I can have WordPress.com, I can have Amazon.com, and I can have Google.com. So I can use multiple URLs, multiple templates that still are in the same order sheet here. What is important is that I add new columns here for my WordPress headers. So like we already said, there's different WordPress headers that we can use. For example, WP type. So since these are all blog posts, the type will always be post. Let's see what else we have here. Status. So I want to immediately publish all of those. So I will set the status as publish. If I want to publish them as drafts, I can just make this draft and they will upload it as drafts to the WordPress site. Author, since I don't know all the usernames of all the different sites I'm using, I'm leaving it empty. But if you have a list with usernames, you can actually use it, which will just improve the quality of the post. Schedule, we're going to use. So for the schedule, let's read the instructions. We have to use the timestamp, and we can also use an hourly stamp if we want. There's an example in here. So for this one, for example, if I want to publish it on the 17th of June at 9 o'clock in the morning, I can simply put it in like this. I can put them all on the same date as well if I want. Now, what happens in WordPress is if this text is delivered earlier and approved as a publisher earlier than this date that is set here, it will be published, but as a scheduled post. So it will automatically be published by WordPress at this specific date. If the text in WordPress is published after this date, it will be backdated. So it will always show up on this specific date in your WordPress site with this date as the blog post date. What else do we have here? Category, if it exists already, it will use that category, but you can also create new categories. And we can also use tags. I will show those in a minute. So tags, category can be all posts or information. Let's say information, what do we call this, like news. And the tags could be the keywords, for example. I'll just use these ones. For example, the keyword can be the tag, which Google likes, of course. Then let's create another column as well. Here we have some things about the featured image. So you can use an external URL as a featured image. You can use a WordPress template identification number. So this is if you have an image tag in your templates that you want to use as the featured image, you would use this option. Or you can directly take the ID from one of your blog posts in the WordPress media library, put it in here, and it will use that as the featured image. So as you probably remember, in our templates, we made the image always the first template item. So even though we have different templates that we use, the first template item is always the featured image. So if I use this header, I can just put template item number 1, and it will automatically create that as the featured image. Also, because we create this as the featured image, it will not be included in the content transfer, so it will not actually show up in the blog post for the rest. Most of the WordPress sites, if you have a featured image, it will already show on the page, but there is some settings there. We'll talk about that in a bit when we're publishing also. So right now I have set up my entire order sheet with all my WordPress headers. So once this text is approved, it is sent to WordPress as a post with the status publish. It will have this date, this category, these tags, and the first template item, my image, will be set as the featured image. I also, did I forget anything? No. I have some order sheet hacks here as well. If you're familiar with how to use the Excel formulas, you can use them in Google Sheets too. For example, the WordPress tags I could use by using the equal sign, all the keywords, and have them comma separated. Like this. And this formula I can just drag down so that I have different keywords for different text. They will automatically show up as my tags without me having to always copy paste them in right here. You can do the same with categories. You can do the same with a lot of different things here. It's a very easy way to move things over. For example, if this would be my category name always, so this is category 1. I can just, oops, I broke it now. I could just connect them to here, copy paste it down, and I don't have to manually copy paste everything over. Same for the WP schedule, so for the different dates. Very often what you want is you actually publish blog posts for an entire month, for example, and you just want random dates and times. By using this formula, and I'll copy paste it under the video as well afterwards, I can automatically set a different date anytime a change is made in the Google Doc. So it is doing, in this case, randomly a date starting from the 1st of July 2020 until the 31st of July 2020. And the timing is between 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. So by using this formula, if I copy paste it in, you see, anytime I make a change, these dates will change. and it will randomly pick a day and a time between my parameters that I set. So I always have something random there so that I don't have to do it manually every single time. What else do I have here? Google.com, I mean, when it comes to Excel sheets, there's a ton of information online, so you can find easily a lot of different hacks there. Do make sure that when you use formulas like this, for example, this one that you can copy from the video, if you use a Swedish Excel sheet, instead of the commas, you will have to use this sign as the delimitator. So make sure that you set that up correctly. But if you do any formula, for example, COUNTIF, if you select the, let's see, the info icon, it will show you what you need to use in between the cells, the arguments to make the formula work. So for me, it's comma, might also be some other signal that you have to use. So this is the order sheet I'm using, where I've combined different templates, different URLs, and all those things with all the WP headers. I can use this to start a project. And of course, I run a project like I run any other project in WordApp. The only thing is that when I publish a text, if the plugin is activated, it will automatically send the post to WordPress. So automatically it will be sent there with all the settings that we have used so that it is immediately visible on the site, and you don't have to do anything manually there. If the site is down, however, or somehow we cannot reach the site, the text will simply be approved in WordApp, but not be sent to the WordPress site. In the content tab in your projects, it will show as approved. In the dropdown, you can select publish, and then it will still send it if the site is up again and the site is reachable. What is extremely important when you're publishing in WordPress is to always double check the text afterwards. WordPress is an extremely powerful tool where you can do a million customized options with different themes, different plugins, and different custom setups. So always double check to see if the archive page and also the post page itself, if they look as expected and that everything is as it should be. One of the big things there is that for some themes, featured images will not actually show on the page. So in that case, you might want to actually adjust your template where you include, for example, a second image so that you have one as a featured image and one that is actually showing in the post on the post page so that you have that there as well. So double check, especially when you're working with a new website or a new client, to make sure that everything is set up correctly there. The last thing that I want to talk about a bit is reporting blog progress. So in the content tab, when you automatically send a text to WordPress using the publishing function, it will automatically update the target URL with the URL of the page that it is become. So you can use that if you're reporting back to a client, for example. The only note I have to take there is that if a blog post is scheduled in the future, then it will not actually show the final URL. It will show the draft URL, which is automatically redirected to the published URL afterwards. It just looks a bit funky. You can also use Zapier to automate the reporting, for example, in Google Sheets. We have a webinar available on that, including a recording on wordup.com/courses. So Zapier is an automation tool where you can connect it to your project and automatically create a report so that you can report back on which blog posts were published, when they were published, and all those things. You can also use this if you want to connect it, for example, to Facebook, where you can automatically post a blog post introduction or meta title or description on Facebook as well, so that you start creating some social traffic without actually having to do anything manually there. The last thing is that in the WordPress, in the WordApp website manager, you can also list your website. And if you have a blog on your site and you want to actually accept guest posts on your site, you can list it from the website manager, where other WordAppers can start reaching out to you and actually ask you to publish guest posts on your site as well. So that might be interesting for some of you who have a lot of websites and actually want to monetize them. That's really what I wanted to go through today. Helene, I'm not sure if you're back. If you're back, maybe you have any questions?
I'm here. Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me.
Helene, you there?
Yes, I'm here. But
yes.
You hear me?
Now I hear you. Yes.
Well, thank you. It was very interesting. Just for the order sheets, are there any of the VP VP type, VP tags, etc. that have to have absolutely. All
You don't, yeah,
no?
you don't have to have any. Let's go to the order sheet here.
Well, let's say in order not to crash the site.
So basically, I mean, by default, the WordPress plugin, the WordPress plugin will use page as a type, and status will always be draft. The rest will always be empty. So that is the default setting it uses. So if you want to override that and you don't want it as a page but as a post, you always have to put it in manually. Same for the status. If you want to publish it directly, you have to put it in manually. So these are the two that are really, really necessary. Otherwise, it will use default settings, which are not correct for blogging. And the other ones that I would always use are schedule, so that you have correct dates and that they're not always on the date that we're publishing, so that you can spread it out a bit nicer. I mean, if there's a case where you have 15 blog posts that come up on the same day for publishing that are finished by editors, you want to spread those out a bit. So I would always put in WP schedule to spread it out over the month. Depends a bit. If you only do one blog post, of course, per site per month, then just leave that column. You don't need it. But if you do multiple blog posts on the same domain, I would use it. And category and tags, I would always use as well, just because it's good habit to fill it out, and it makes the whole site a bit easier to get indexed. And I would always also use the featured image, just because it looks nicer when you share it on social, but also on the archive page, it will look good. So have to is type and status. Very advisable schedule if you do multiple posts on the same domain in a same project. And category tags and thumbnail tin, I would always use as well for blog posts.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, or?
No, it was excellent.
That makes sense. Okay, good. So then you should be good to go with your project. For all of the other people joining in, there is a ton of other courses available where we talk in way more detail about sample text, creating templates, keyword research, managing projects, and all kinds of things like that. So please do sign up there, and I hope to see you in one of those courses soon as well. If you have any questions about this course, please reach out to me, Jorn, in the chat on the site, and I will help you get started. And otherwise, I'll see you back in another course soon as well. Helene, thanks a lot for joining and for helping me out with your questions. Very good question about which headers are mandatory, not to crash your site, because that is obviously not something we want to do. And good luck with your project. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.